September 3rd, 1968. A dusty parking lot outside Birmingham, Alabama. Sammy Davis Jr. stepped out of his limousine and walked directly toward a group of 20 white-hooded men who had been waiting for him. At the center of the group stood a man whose voice Sammy recognized from the threatening phone calls that had been terrorizing his family for months. "You came," the KKK leader said, surprised. "I didn't think you had the guts." "You threatened my wife. You threatened my children," Sammy replied, his voice steady despite the fear racing through his veins. "So here I am. Now what? What happened in that parking lot over the next 17 minutes didn't just end the threats against Sammy's family. It completely shattered this KKK leader's worldview and turned him into something no one could have predicted." But why did Sammy agree to meet face-to-face with the man who wanted him dead? And how did 17 minutes of conversation convert a racist extremist into Sammy Davis Jr.'s most unlikely defender? To understand this incredible story, we have to go back 3 months earlier, to June 1968, when Sammy Davis Jr. made a decision that put his entire family in danger. It was the height of the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated just 2 months earlier. America was burning with racial tension, and celebrities were being forced to choose sides. Most chose silence. Sammy chose action. On June 15, 1968, Sammy appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and did something that shocked the nation. When Carson asked about his thoughts on civil rights, instead of giving the usual diplomatic answer, Sammy spoke with raw honesty. "Johnny, I'm tired of being the safe Negro," Sammy said, looking directly into the camera. "I'm tired of smiling and dancing while my people are being beaten in the streets. From now on, I'm going to use this platform to speak truth, not just entertainment." The audience was stunned. This wasn't the usual Sammy Davis Jr. charm and deflection. This was something entirely different. "And to the people watching who don't like what I just said," Sammy continued, "I want you to know something. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not shutting up. And I'm not backing down." The reaction was immediate and brutal. Welcome to Sammy Davis Jr.'s Secret Stories, the only channel dedicated to uncovering the untold moments that shaped the legend himself. I'm thrilled you're here with us today. Whether you're watching from New York, London, Tokyo, or anywhere else in the world, you're now part of our family that celebrates the incredible life of Mr. Entertainment. If this is your first time here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We drop new exclusive stories about Sammy every single day that you won't find anywhere else. And if this story moves you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Your support helps us bring these amazing untold tales to light. Now, let's dive into tonight's incredible story of courage, confrontation, and the most unlikely friendship ever forged. Within hours of the broadcast, hate mail started pouring in. Death threats arrived by the dozen. Radio stations in the South stopped playing his records. Several Las Vegas venues quietly canceled his bookings. But the worst was yet to come. On June 20th, Sammy's wife May received the first phone call. "Mrs. Davis?" The voice was calm, almost polite. "You need to tell your husband to keep his mouth shut about things that don't concern him." May, who was Swedish and had faced her own share of hatred for marrying a black man, wasn't easily intimidated. "Who is this?" she demanded. "Someone who believes in preserving the natural order. Your husband is disrupting that order. It needs to stop." "And if it doesn't?" May asked, though she already feared the answer. "Then we'll make it stop, and we'll start with those beautiful children of yours." The line went dead. May immediately called Sammy, who was performing in Chicago. When she told him about the threat, Sammy's blood went cold. "Pack the kids up," he said immediately. "Go to Frank's place in Palm Springs. Don't go home. Don't stop anywhere. Go straight there." "Sammy? Who would threaten children? What kind of monsters?" "The worst kind," Sammy interrupted. "The kind that hide behind sheets and crosses. But May, I promise you this. I'm going to find out who's behind this, and I'm going to end it." Over the next 6 weeks, the threats escalated. Phone calls came daily, sometimes multiple times per day. The caller, who identified himself only as a concerned American, seemed to know intimate details about Sammy's family, their routines, their movements. "We know your daughter takes ballet lessons on Tuesdays," one call revealed. "Pretty little thing. Be a shame if something happened to her on the way to class." Sammy hired round-the-clock security for his family, but the psychological toll was devastating. His children couldn't understand why they couldn't go home, why Daddy looked scared all the time, why there were always strange men following them around. The breaking point came on August 28th, when the caller made his most specific threat yet. "Davis, you have 48 hours to publicly apologize for your statements about civil rights and promise to stay out of political matters. If you don't, we'll take action, and we'll start with your wife." That night, Sammy made a decision that terrified everyone around him. He was going to find this man and confront him face to face. "You can't do this, Sam," his manager pleaded. "This is suicide. Let the FBI handle it." "The FBI has been handling it for 2 months," Sammy replied. "My family is still in hiding. My kids are traumatized. This ends now." Through his network of contacts in the entertainment industry, Sammy began investigating. Someone making threats this specific, with this much knowledge about his family, had to be local to Los Angeles. Someone with connections, with resources. The break came from an unexpected source. A stagehand at the Sands Hotel who had overheard conversations between KKK members discussing the Davis problem. "There's a guy named William Crawford," the stagehand told Sammy quietly. "He's some kind of leader with the Klan in Alabama, but he's been spending a lot of time in California lately. Word is he's been tasked with shutting you up permanently." Sammy had the name. Now he needed a way to draw Crawford out. On September 1st, Sammy did something that shocked even his closest friends. He called a press conference and issued a direct challenge. "To the coward who's been threatening my family," Sammy said, looking directly into the TV cameras. "You want to meet face to face? Fine. Birmingham, Alabama, the old steel mill parking lot on Highway 78. Tuesday, September 3rd, 8 p.m. Come alone, and we'll settle this like men." The press went wild. Headlines screamed about Sammy's death wish. Friends begged him to reconsider. Even Frank Sinatra flew to Los Angeles to try to talk him out of it. "Charlie, this is insane," Frank pleaded. "You're walking into a trap." "Maybe," Sammy replied. "But Frank, I can't live like this anymore. My kids can't live like this. Either this ends Tuesday night, or it never ends." September 3rd arrived gray and humid. Sammy flew to Birmingham alone, against the advice of everyone he trusted. He rented a car at the airport and drove to the designated meeting place, a desolate parking lot surrounded by abandoned buildings. At exactly 8 p.m., 20 men in white robes and hoods emerged from behind the buildings. They formed a semicircle, with one man, clearly their leader, standing in the center. Sammy stepped out of his car. He was wearing a simple black suit, no bodyguards, no weapons. Just a man facing his fears. "You came," William Crawford said, pulling back his hood to reveal a stern face weathered by hate. "I didn't think you had the guts." You threatened my wife. You threatened my children, Sammy replied. So here I am. Now what? Crawford studied Sammy for a long moment. You know why we're here, boy. Don't call me boy, Sammy said quietly. I'm 42 years old. I've earned the right to be called by my name. You haven't earned anything. You've been given everything by white folks who felt sorry for you. Sammy laughed, but there was no humor in it. Is that what you think? You think someone gave me this career? Gave me this talent? I think you've forgotten your place. My place? Sammy stepped closer, ignoring the other clan members who shifted nervously. Let me tell you about my place, Mr. Crawford. My place is on stages around the world. My place is in recording studios making music that moves people. My place is in my home with my wife and children, living the American dream that you say doesn't belong to people like me. Crawford's jaw tightened. The American dream was built by white men for white families. Really? Who built those railroads you rode to get here? Who picked that cotton that made the South rich? Who fought in the wars that kept this country free? Sammy's voice was growing stronger with each word. Black hands, Mr. Crawford. Black backs. Black blood. We built this country as much as anyone. You built it as slaves, under white direction. And now we're building it as free men, with our own direction. That's what scares you, isn't it? Not that we're different, but that we're the same. That we want the same things you want. Good lives for our children, respect for our work, the chance to be judged by who we are instead of what we look like. Crawford was quiet for a moment, and when he spoke again, his voice carried less certainty. You don't understand the natural order of things. The natural order? Sammy gestured to the abandoned buildings around them. You think this is natural? 20 grown men hiding behind sheets because they're afraid of one unarmed entertainer? You think threatening children is natural? Something shifted in Crawford's expression. We're protecting our way of life. From what? From me singing songs? From me making people laugh? From me loving my wife and raising my children? Sammy shook his head. Mr. Crawford, I'm not your enemy. I've never hurt you. I've never even met you before tonight. You're changing things, making people think differently. Yes, I am. I'm making them think that maybe, just maybe, the color of a man's skin doesn't determine the content of his character. Is that really so threatening to you? Crawford was struggling now, his certainty wavering. We were told. I was told that people like you were dangerous to our families. And who told you that? Sammy asked gently. Who benefits from you believing that? Not you, certainly, not your family. You're standing in an abandoned parking lot threatening a man you've never met because someone convinced you that your problems are my fault. The other clan members were listening now, their own certainty beginning to crack. Mr. Crawford, Sammy continued, what do you do for a living? Crawford hesitated. I worked at the steel mill. Lost my job last year. I'm sorry to hear that. That must be hard on your family. Do you have children? 2 boys. I have 3 children. And you know what I want for them? The same thing you want for yours. I want them to grow up in a world where they're safe, where they're loved, where they have opportunities to build good lives. Crawford's voice was barely a whisper. But they told us you people were trying to take over, to push us out. Take over what? Mr. Crawford, there's room in this country for all of us. Your children's success doesn't depend on my children's failure. There's enough opportunity, enough prosperity, enough hope for everyone. Sammy took another step closer. The man who convinced you to threaten my family. He's not here with you tonight, is he? He's safe somewhere while you're out here risking everything based on his fears. Crawford looked around at his followers, many of whom were now shifting uncomfortably. "What if I'm wrong?" Crawford said suddenly, the words seeming to surprise him. "Then you're wrong," Sammy said simply. "And tomorrow you can choose to be right." For 17 minutes, they talked. Not as enemies, but as fathers, as men trying to understand each other. Crawford asked questions, real questions, about Sammy's life, his career, his family. Sammy answered honestly, without defensiveness or anger. Finally, Crawford turned to his followers. "Boys, I think we've made a mistake here." Some of the clan members protested, but Crawford held up his hand. "No, listen. This man, he's not what we thought. He's not our enemy. He's just a man trying to take care of his family, same as us." Crawford pulled off his hood completely and extended his hand to Sammy. "Mr. Davis, I owe you an apology. I owe your family an apology. What we did was wrong." Sammy shook his hand. "Mr. Crawford, it takes courage to admit when you're wrong. It takes even more courage to change." The other clan members began removing their hoods as well. Some walked away, unable to reconcile what they'd just witnessed with their beliefs. But others stayed, shaking Sammy's hand, apologizing. 3 months later, William Crawford called Sammy with news that shocked everyone who knew the story. "Mr. Davis, I wanted you to know, I've disbanded our group, and I've started working with the NAACP in Birmingham, helping them with community outreach." "That's wonderful news, Bill," Sammy replied. "But what changed your mind?" "You did. That night in the parking lot, you treated me like a human being even after I'd threatened your family. You saw something in me that I didn't even know was there." Crawford paused. "And I realized something. The man who sent me after you, he never once asked about my family, my problems, my needs. But you did, in 17 minutes. You showed me more respect than I'd gotten from my own people in years." The two men became unlikely friends. Crawford would later testify against other KKK groups, helping the FBI break up several planned attacks. He dedicated the rest of his life to fighting the very hatred he had once embodied. September 3rd, 1968. The night Sammy Davis Jr. faced down 20 Klan members in a parking lot in Birmingham and won the battle not with violence, but with humanity. The night he proved that the most powerful weapon against hatred isn't force, it's understanding. The night he turned an enemy into an ally by refusing to see him as anything less than human. Sometimes, the greatest victories come not from defeating your enemies, but from helping them defeat the darkness within themselves.